Stories are not cables or code. They are breaths in the air. A ripple moving from one person to the next, stitching minds together across distance and time. Before there were networks of fiber and satellites, there were networks of meaning, carried in voices, marks, and rituals that strangers could share. Here is the knife-edge question this chapter presses into your palm. If stories are the oldest connection technology, which stories are quietly wiring your life today? You don't notice the thread until you feel the pull. Notice it now and ask where it's leading you. Apply it now. Name one story that guided a decision you made this week. Yuval Noah Harari's Nexus, A Brief History of Information Networks from the Stone Age to AI, explores how information, signals, symbols, and shared meanings creates the webs we live inside. He traces how human networks grew from small circles into sprawling systems that organize economies, beliefs, and power. The aim is understanding, to see that the deep structure of our world is informational, and that our choices about stories shape what becomes possible. Apply it now. Remember that changing a story can change a system. Within that journey, this chapter focuses on stories as the network layer that scales without obvious limits. Where bodies and villages cap out, shared fictions let millions move as if of one mind. This matters because your daily reality, money, brands, nations, institutions, works only so long as many people tell and retell the same tale. Apply it now. Look around you and point to 3 things that exist because many people believe in them. The core message is simple and unsettling. Stories make unlimited connections by turning imagination into coordination, and coordination into reality. What you and others believe together becomes the world you wake up inside. Apply it now. Ask which belief, if shared by your closest circle, would most improve your next year. First, stories create shared realities that allow trust among strangers. You don't need to know the person who printed your ticket, inspected your food, or shipped your package. You both accept the same narrative about procedures, roles, and outcomes. That narrative reduces fear and friction so action can flow. It isn't magic, it's mutual belief. Apply it now. When you face a bottleneck, ask, what story would reduce friction here? Second, stories anchor themselves in objects and documents, paper, screens, seals, signatures, so they travel intact. A passport is more than paper. It is a portable tale about identity and movement that many offices agree to accept. A banknote is more than ink. It is a promise that lives because millions repeat it. These anchors are not the story itself, but they keep the story stable as it crosses borders and generations. Apply it now. Hold one item in your wallet or desktop and say out loud the story it carries for you. Third, stories organize us and them, for better and for worse. They knit communities by offering purpose, memory, and ritual. They also draw boundaries that can harden into suspicion or conflict. The most durable stories make meaning feel personal. Who you are, why you matter, how to act. When identity plugs into narrative, people show up with energy that spreadsheets alone can't summon. Apply it now. Write a single sentence that defines your us in a way that includes a wider circle than yesterday. Fourth, while the medium changes, from firesides to tablets to printing presses to phones, the underlying mechanic stays constant, alignment of belief at scale. New media accelerate speed and widen reach, but the heart is still a compelling frame that many can carry and retell. The danger is obvious. When velocity outruns reflection, untested tales can spread faster than reality can correct them. The opportunity is just as clear. A well-formed story can coordinate care, science, and repair across continents. Apply it now. Before sharing a post or plan, ask, what behavior does this story invite in the next hour? Fifth, stories meet the physical world, and that meeting is the test. Some tales crack on contact, others adapt and endure. Institutions that welcome feedback, measurement, dissent, revision, give their stories a path to improve instead of calcify. This is how narratives stay aligned with reality rather than drift into fantasy. In practice, it means building rituals that check the tale against the world and update it when it fails. Apply it now. Run one small experiment this week that could prove your favorite assumption wrong. Sixth, because stories are tools, responsibility sits with the storyteller and the listener. A story can free or trap, widen compassion or narrow it. The chapter invites you to notice the craft, symbols that cue emotion, plots that justify action, archetypes that locate your role. When you see the structure, you can choose rather than merely absorb. You can write the story for your team, family, and future in language that invites courage and care. Apply it now. Rewrite one self-description from "I am the kind of person who" to "I am becoming the kind of person who," and act one notch toward it today. So step back. Stories are the scaffolding for trust at scale. They travel in portable containers, documents, images, rituals that stabilize belief. They shape identity, binding us together or splitting us apart. They spread faster in new media, for good or ill, which means discernment is a duty, not a luxury. And they remain accountable to the world outside the words, thriving when they are tested and revised. This is not abstract philosophy, it's the operating system beneath your calendar, paycheck, news feed, and name. Apply it now. Ask which story you will retire and which you will renew before tonight. Return to that first thread you felt tugging at your sleeve. If you follow it back, you find a choice. Keep being pulled by inherited scripts, or pick up the spindle and weave on purpose. The chapter's gift is clarity about how connections can stretch without limit when a tale is built to be shared, and how your agency lies in choosing which tale to carry. Apply it now. Choose one phrase you want your week to echo, and let your actions make it true. Here's your next step, and it's simple. Watch the next episode in this series on Chapter 1, where we map the human networks that stories ride on. Then, come back to this thread we opened, breath on air becoming a bridge, and ask in the comments, what story are you willing to test against reality this week? Tap the video on the right, save this for a friend who needs language for their turning point, and do it today while the thread is still warm in your hand.